Welcome back to the world's best, cheapest GTR in the world channel. This project is proudly supported by our friends at Castrol. This episode is absolutely massive, but first, Martin, Fat Mat.
I want to tell you about Fat Mats. This is one of the favourite things that we make and have on the Mighty Car Mod shop. This is a Fat Mat. Now, what is a Fat Mat, you might ask? A Fat Mat can be used for lots of different things. Originally, the idea is desk protection. So you use that on your desk, you got your keyboard, you got your mouse, you got your stuff, but we have seen so many different uses for these over time. We've seen people build guitars on them, pull engines apart on them, put them on their workbenches to protect the surface.
I put my drum kit on mine, but anyway, we have these available with a discount. If you use the coupon code CastrolGTR, you will get yourself an epic discount. All right, people. Oh yeah, and we'll send it to you anywhere in the world. Anyway, let's dive into another epic episode of this nasty GTR. Welcome back to another episode of the world's cheapest GTR, powered by Castrol Edge. Thank you very much for being here again. We bought the cheapest GTR in the world, and it's rubbish. Completely thrashed, as you probably saw last episode.
Yep.
This episode, we're going to try and get it working, get it fixed, get it mad, and get this iconic vehicle back on the road.
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. It's a really good feeling when you can bring something as iconic as an R32 GTR back from what was, let's be honest, nearly the dead.
Well, we haven't brought it back yet. This is the beginning.
But we're going to. It's going to be a thing. So we've got a few big jobs to kick off on this car that's going to happen today.
Now, if you saw last episode, you would have seen we had a couple of experts come and have a look at the car. It is repairable. We can make it legal. I know it looks terrible, but there's actually not heaps of damage in terms of structural damage that would stop us getting the car back on the road again. But we couldn't get the engine started, still unknown as to why. So today we're just going to pull the whole engine out.
Yank it.
These are notoriously tricky for working on, particularly changing turbos. It's not a job that people love doing. So out of the car, that is something that we're going to do.
Yep.
Then, I mean, there's no interior really. No. There's a race seat. There's stuff welded on. I mean, it is the worst car that we've ever brought in the history of making this show.
It really is.
And as
Wait,
such,
worse than my Civic?
Oh, it's absolutely worse. It's absolutely worse.
The good thing is we also, to paint it properly and restore it properly, the amount of work that needs to happen to the chassis and also to the engine bay means that the engine's got to go, because then we can also paint the engine bay, which will make it look mad.
This would normally be a too big a job for us to actually embark on ourselves, which is why I do want to say another thank you to Castrol Edge for sponsoring this build series. They've been sponsoring Mighty Car Mods for years and years and years. It is the only oil that we run in our car, and like millions and millions of people around the world, it's the oil that we rely on for our performance cars as well. So I do want to say a massive thank you to them for supporting us to do this, because without them, we couldn't do it. It's too big.
It's too big.
So what are we doing today? We're putting it on the hoist. Job number one is we are pulling the motor out.
Yep.
And then
basically getting it ready for its panel and body work, essentially.
Yeah. Anyway, let's put it on the hoist and let's get to it. Now, it's not just the interior and exterior that is completely thrashed on this car. Under the bonnet, it also looks terrible. It looks mostly complete, but it looks like this car has actually spent some of its time under the ocean. Now, luckily for us, our mate Sam, who's a mechanic, he's worked on a bunch of GTRs. He's coming down today to give us a hand. It'll just expedite the process of actually getting the motor out. So on the hoist, motor out. In the bin, not in the bin, but in the workshop. We'll fix it. Unfortunately, after a lot of effort, we haven't actually been able to get this engine to run. But because we're planning on rebuilding it completely anyway, we may as well just take it out and then we can easily rip it to shreds to see what's wrong with it. Now, I've imported a bunch of cars from Japan over the years, and I've mostly been pleasantly surprised by what's arrived. But this car, so far, has been the opposite. And the reason for that is simple. I probably needed to lower my expectations a little bit, because when you request the cheapest GTR in the world, you get the cheapest GTR in the world. Everybody, this is our mate Sam. You might have seen him in the background of some of our videos. Sometimes he's helping us out with different stuff. He knows about GTRs. We don't. Sam, can we show you what we've bought here?
100%.
Run your eyeballs over. Just have a look at the front bar. Have a look in the engine bay. Have a look at the interior. And just give us your honest opinion and appraisal of what it is that we're seeing here.
Well, I don't know. It's seen better days, yeah, but hey, it's still a GTR.
How much do you reckon this was? You can take a guess.
Shipped?
Yeah, here landed in Australia, ready to go.
In its current state, I'd probably say maybe 20, 30 grand maybe.
Great. We're in at 14 grand so far.
Wow.
14 grand.
Ripper.
So the plan is basically to give it a birthday, a complete makeover. So we've got interior, Marty and I've got some turbos for it. We're going to give this a birthday, but we just need to get this out. I had a look on the internet. Some people takes 10 hours to get them out. Other people reckon you can get them out in 1.5 hours. How long will it actually take us just to drop this out the most efficient way?
Oh, mate, dropping it out be the quickest, easiest. So probably say maybe hour and a half.
Yep,
say
okay.
2 with any hiccups.
Okay, cool. Is there any considerations or anything we need to be aware of?
No, not really. Just exhaust off, wiring harness off, and then just drop it straight out.
Great. A wiring harness.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
There you go. Hour and 15 then.
Great. The exhaust is off already. Do I need to get rid of the radiator just to drain that, unplug this so we've got room to get it out? Or?
Yeah, we'll drop all the fluids and everything, gearbox oil, engine oil, coolant, power steering. I'll probably take that, drain all that out and then just drop it straight out.
Great. All right, let's cue the music, people. Let's get this engine going.
Now, while I did buy this car completely sight unseen off the internet, which is something that I do all of the time, I didn't know anything about this car until it arrived. But we've since managed to find out a little bit more about it from historical auction records from Japan. So it's had numerous attempts at being sold, and it seems like I'm the only one crazy enough to actually buy it. In fact, in 2018 and 2019, before I'd purchased it, it passed in and didn't even sell at 650,000 yen. Now that is only $7,000 Australian or $4,500 USD. Now in 2020, someone resprayed it, which is why the rear stickers had been painted over, and it had plates on it, so someone actually managed to get registration, and the auction report basically shows that every single panel is either damaged or has been replaced. It makes sense that no one bought it, even at $4,500, but I'm glad that it's now getting the attention it deserves to get this old girl back on the road.
This car is so much worse than I'd imagined. I knew it was going to be bad. When you buy the cheapest of anything off the internet, you know it's going to be nasty.
Cheap for a reason.
But this here is just, there's mismatched stuff, it's leaking, it's rusty.
Yep.
It's terrible, but what I will
out.
say, it is nearly out, and with the help of Sam, it's been about an hour, 45 minutes,
Yep.
all up to this point.
Yep.
And now we're going to try and drop it. We think everything is disconnected.
Yep.
So we're going to put a pallet underneath, then we're going to lift the car up, and hopefully this all just goes gadonk. Hopefully. I do believe that this motor is ready to come out. Thank you very much to the assistance, experience and intelligence
And skills.
of our mate Sam.
All we want to happen is the car goes up and the engine stays where it is. That's all
right.
that has to happen.
That's
3,
right.
2,
Let's go.
1. Sick. That's so good.
So in summary, we have an interior that is completely missing, a body that is thrashed but not crashed.
That's what you
There's
want.
holes everywhere, it's missing. It's in desperate need of a whole lot of TLC, but luckily we've got this.
Which is an engine we're not sure if it works. It has compression, which is great, but it doesn't run. And a gearbox, who knows if it's even got any gears in it. But we're going to work all that out. We're going to take that off the subframe, put the subframe back so we've got a rolling shell. Then this thing can go and get some panel work done.
Meanwhile, we can get the motor fixed. Hopefully one thing's happening here, the other thing's happening here. Boom! Nissan goodness. Let's get to it.
We're planning on completely rebuilding this entire engine right here in Super Garage. But before we do that, we need to know what's wrong with it, which parts we can reuse, and which parts we need to buy. Of course, we could buy a fully built RB engine locally, but I want to try and use as many of the parts that came with the car as I can. So we're heading to Dahtone, a high-performance engine and fabrication shop in Sydney, who have kindly agreed to help us tear the engine down to try and diagnose what's wrong with it before we take all the parts back in a big box to Super Garage, ready to be rebuilt into the monster that it deserves to be.
So we are down here at Dahtone Racing. This is Anthony. Thank you so much for having us down, by the way.
No dramas.
What we are looking at here is the engine from our R32.
Typical dirty old RB, really. It's a bit oily, which is, they're all sort of like that. Doesn't look like anything out of the ordinary, really. It's got a good set of dump pipes on it. Everything else looks pretty factory injectors.
Yeah.
So probably good base to start with, really.
So we are yet to have this actually running. How do we actually make sure that it's not complete garbage?
First things first, comp test. If the comp test is okay, You can do a leak down if we really want to, but most of the time, if the comp test is okay, they're fine.
Yeah.
Cut the oil filter open. Make sure it's not full of bearing.
Yeah, okay.
That's a big thing. So they chew bearings or they bust oil pumps. Oil control is horrible. First thing, comp test, cut the oil filter open. Let's start there and see what we're dealing with.
Let's do it.
The engine might be old and leaky, but genuine original RB26s are getting more valuable by the day. So we want to try and retain as much of this chunk of 90s Japanese metal as we can. A comp test will give us a baseline of how well the rings and valves are sealing in the combustion chamber. And yes, slapping a new set of gaskets and sending it is absolutely a viable option if the compression tests are good. But we want to push this to the next level, so we're going to do a little bit more digging.
We've tested 5 of the 6 cylinders so far. We're all sitting around 180, which is a really, really healthy result. We're testing the last one now. If this one here also gets some decent pressure, we're actually in a perfect spot to actually get started on the engine build. It's make or break now, basically, what comes up on here. So yeah, let's give it a go, give it a hit. That's looking awesome. Okay, great. So good.
While oil is used for lubrication, cooling, cleaning and protection of engines, used oil and a used oil filter can also help to diagnose engine problems. And by dissecting the oil filter, we can see if there's any tiny pieces of Godzilla heart stuck inside it. To do this, we'll need to carefully cut open the metal filter housing so we can get to the filter material inside. Once this is exposed, we'll be able to check for metal shavings, excessive sludge, or damage that may point towards a more sinister issue with this particular RB engine. And the good news is that it's looking all clear. Now, the easiest way of keeping your car running properly is to check and change your oil regularly. And from this point onwards, the only oil that's going to get anywhere near this engine is the same oil that we run in all of our cars, Castrol Edge, a fully synthetic advanced performance oil.
So Anthony, a few surprises so far.
Yeah.
Carbon clutch.
Twin plate.
What's the deal with this? A twin plate carbon clutch?
Well, yeah.
Someone spent some money on it
Yeah,
at some
definitely.
point.
I think we address the big problems with these, oil control, oil
Yes.
pump, and just preventative maintenance.
Do rocker covers off, sump off, start looking at stuff. We'll obviously let you guys go nuts with that.
Yeah.
And we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, no dramas.
I've never seen anything like this before. That's crazy. There's all that power going through that little plate.
2 of them and that's it. Wow. Super light.
These guys have seen the inside of more RBs than we've seen marketplace listings for Daihatsus. So the next thing to do is to start pulling the engine apart to see if there's anything catastrophically wrong with it mechanically, or if there's any further evidence as to why we couldn't make it run.
So the good news is, after an engine teardown, is that there's nothing in there that suggests major catastrophic engine failure or mechanical issues. So that's a really good thing. So we were given all of the engine parts back in about 14 different plastic crates, and they've come back here to Super Garage for a double thumb up engine build, which will be coming up soon. Now, I cannot give the body any thumbs up though, because it is completely munted.
That's right. So there's quite a bit of bog in it, which is surprising because there was a lot of weight saving drilled out of it in holes, but I think most of that's probably gone back into body filler that it looks at some stage like the car had been painted. While the car is quite straight and square as we checked initially, there's still a lot of things that need to be pushed and pulled around, like the sills underneath where it might have ridden a ripple strip or something like that.
You're being very polite, Martin. It needs to be straightened.
It needs to be straightened. It's got to go back to, it's got to be stripped right back, basically. It's going to be a big job, but our friend Chung, who's painted a couple of other cars for us, is going to get into it and hopefully bring it back to life.
Yeah. The days and time pass so fast, I might crash. Trying to hold strong as another storm passes. Sitting on the platform, waiting on the next train. And there she was, the one that I caused so much pain. So much disdain, I never got to explain. We've grown apart since, and I've been waiting in vain. Pure heart and pure soul, yeah, you are the essence. Standing feet away, please acknowledge my presence. Think of me, do you still smile?
I try, and I try.
Time waits for no one, it's been a while.
I try, and I try.
I hope that you've been well, it's been a while.
I try, and I try.
When you think of me, do you still smile? You see me peeking, heart breathing fast, and you're the reason I'm barely sleeping. Trapped in my thoughts of what could have been. Where did I go wrong? Some choices I made, I'm paying for. And I met you along the way, and that I'm thankful for. The years pass and we grow apart even more. Just two strangers on a train. Do any feelings remain? I'm happy to see you made it far. You deserve it all. As you step across the hall, the exit I wanna call like.
I try, and I try.
When you think of me, do you still smile?
I try, and I try.
Time waits for no one, it's been a while.
I try, and I try.
I hope that you've been well, it's been a while.
I try, and I try.
When you think of me, do you still smile? When you think of me, do you still smile? Time waits for no one, it's been a while. I hope that you've been well, it's been a while. When you think of me, do you still smile? I wish that I could turn back time, back to when you were mine. Although we're not destined to be, inside my heart you'll always be. When you think of me, do you still smile? Time waits for no one, it's been a while. It's been a while, it's been a while. I hope that you've been well, it's been a while.
I try, and I try. I try, and I try.
So the GTR is back from paint, and it has been a way bigger job than any of us had anticipated. Now, it might look like it's not complete, and that's because it is not complete. When you buy the world's cheapest GTR, it doesn't have any of the stuff that you think a car should have. So there are still a lot of things to find, but we'll get more onto that soon. This project has been now going on for, have a guess how long? 3 years. That is how long we've been working on this car, and I bought it 4 years ago. Through all that time though, just want to say a thank you very much to Castrol Edge, who have been long-time supporters of Mighty Car Mods, and they are sponsoring the build of this GTR. So I just want to say thank you very much to the whole team over there, over at Castrol, particularly Jan, thank you very much. We run Castrol Edge in all of our cars, and I wouldn't recommend anything else. So what is going to be next, people? Well, we got to find out what we have and what we don't have. So we've laid it all out here like a kind of automotive morgue, and we've got to work out what we have and what we don't have. We've started to order some things. We don't know what's broken. We don't know what works. We don't know exactly what we have. We got some old scungy stuff. So there's going to be a whole task now to basically do like an archaeological automotive dig and find out what it is that we need And next episode, we're going to rebuild the engine. That's going to be a huge task in itself, and I'm going to be bringing in some very, very special guests. And then we got to order a lot of stuff from Japan. So all of that is what's coming up on Mighty Car Mods as we continue the build of the world's cheapest R32 GTR.